Hello my beautiful friends and welcome back. Now I don't care that it's only August, but in my brain, in my heart, in my emotions, it's already spooky time. I don't care. Nick is very adamant on me waiting until Labor Day at least to start decorating downstairs, but I have free reign of my own studio, and so I'm done waiting, essentially. And so I actually want to get started on some costumes this year. I am super excited to start my next project. It is a little bit on the big side, and so there are going to be multiple videos for this particular project, similarly to how I did previous cosplays. Without further ado, let me introduce you to Red the Pirate. Who is Red? In case you have absolutely no idea who Red is, she is an Irish lady pirate from the Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
Your feathers, dearie. Show them your flock.
Hey, send them hens to Davy Jones. It's a rum they want.
So she replaced the redhead, who was being seen as part of the female empowerment movement. They replaced the redhead with Red, a pirate captain. She is a member of Barbossa's crew on the Wicked Wench, and she was inspired by the historic Anne Bonny. In July of 2017, Red was unveiled to some serious controversy because She was unveiled to some controversy because for some reason there are still some people out there who think that the imagery of selling a woman into bondage is okay. And having a fierce independent lady boss calling the shots is bad. Figure that one out. So Disney persevered with these changes, and the Brassy Buccaneer made her debut just shy of a year later on June 18th of 2018. In the 5 years since, Red has developed quite a bit of a following in her own right. Because let's face it, we all really love a fiery redhead being the bitch in charge. So using my own background in theatrical costuming in conjunction with a little bit of detective work, my goal is to analyze as many pictures of her as I can find from the parks. The internet is littered with them, and try and figure out exactly how the Disney costumers created Red the Pirate for the face characters, and kind of play with my own ideas of how it will work best for me. Disney's costumes are incredibly deceptive with how they are constructed. Most of the time, this is done for the ease of getting in and out of the costume for the face actor, and also because of temperature control, giving the wearer of the costume a little bit more ease. It also significantly decreases the risk of a wardrobe malfunction, like things becoming unlaced or layers shifting out of place. And it must be spectacularly done so that when Red is interacting with guests, she doesn't have a malfunction, while on stage, making every single element of the costume intentional. It would be extremely unrealistic and disruptive if a face character was having to relace their stays or shift around their chemise ruffles every 5 minutes for a photo op, said no cosplayer ever. Red the Pirate's dress is a prime example of a lot of the tricks of the trade that Disney uses to create these illusions. And we're going to talk about how over the course of the next video or two, while I recreate my version of Red's dress, the things that I might borrow from Disney and the things that I might do for myself for versatility. For me personally, it is also really important is being able to reuse pieces when I want to, or for other outfits, so that they're not just one-time use, especially since a lot of the things that I'm going to be using for Red, I can also use for Ren Fair. I mean, it's part of the reduce, reuse, recycle mantra is making sure bits and pieces of costumes can intertwine. You know, I used that example last fall making my Mary Sanderson skirts. I reused a Ren Fair skirt as one of those bottom layers. So why wouldn't I proceed with future costumes keeping that same mindset alive? So this week I am going to focus mainly on her base dress, and then I will move on to her stays and whatnot in the future. Okay, I have been doing a lot of research on what I am looking at here. To start off with the base of her dress, she's got a lot of layers. At least it looks like it. The top half of her dress, however, is just one piece. If you look here, you can actually see here on the center front of her stays that there is a swatch of pink shantung that runs from the top to the bottom, creating the illusion that her dress fully extends from the top all the way down to her skirt. But I can tell that it's actually a false panel, because when we look at the bottom of it closely, right here, where it overlaps her hip scarf, the pink continues to the bottom of the stays, but she doesn't have pink extending over any of the hip flaps. So her chemise layer is faked by having the exposed ruffle. It's actually attached directly to the inside of the pink portion of the bodice. And then the sleeve ruffle is attached directly to the inside of the sleeve. So this sleeve poof here has two layers, the white layer and the pink layer. And then this part of the sleeve is just the pink, so that there's no extra layers for heat. And then to make things even more interesting, the sleeve is actually attached directly to the arm side of her stays. I'm able to get this picture right here where you can see that when she's got her arms pulled forward like this from the rear, if the sleeve was attached to the pink part of the dress, there would be a sleeve seam exposed under the stays. But when she pulls forward, the stays pull forward, which says that the sleeves are attached to the stays. They are very particular in also ensuring that the shoulder strap completes the circuit from the top front, which creates the proper hole required for the sleeve to be set into. The sleeve just disappears into the stays. And then to complete the Disney illusion, we have a little panel at the back of the stays, which is to disguise the entry-exit point of the garment. Most likely they used a separating zipper, so it would go on like a jacket. So I'm not going to go all the way to the extent of Disney's cheats. While brilliant as they are in the costuming world, I would prefer having pieces that I can mix and match in my closet. And so my stays and my dress and my chemise I'm gonna go a little differently. I'm actually going to make my pink dress as a dress, although I may make it as a skirt and a blouse so that I can wear them as separates. That's an interesting thought. I have to decide. I have to decide soon. However, I am going to take a page out of Disney's playbook by having a mock chemise. I'm not going to make it a separate layer. And so on the inside of the blouse of my bodice and on the inside of the sleeves, I am still going to do that white ruffle, but then I am going to do a white skirt. I feel like I can use a white petticoat skirt with many other costumes, so having it isn't really a detriment, if that makes sense. So when we look at the pink layer of the dress, I am pretty sure that it is a silk de pony or shantung, but without actually touching it and feeling it in person. However, I can't be 100% sure which one it is. Either way, it is way out of my budget. So I will be working with a Dusty Rose metallic finished linen by Robert Kaufman instead. It is both within my budget, easier to care for, and much more breathable for Florida weather. I find that it still mimics the Dupont nicely, at least in my opinion. And the way that linen is woven together, it kind of mimics the slub texture. So overall, I'm extremely happy with it, in theory. It arrived in the mail, and I have yet to open it. I purchased my pink linen fabric from Hancock of Paducah. No, this is not sponsored. They were just the only ones that had what I wanted in stock. It arrived in the mail. I didn't open it because I wanted it to be opened on camera so you guys get my genuine reaction. And so it has been sitting in that pile in the corner and taunting me and taunting me and taunting me. At this point, it's too late to return it, so if I don't like it, I'm screwed. I haven't been disappointed by fabrics that are Robert Kaufman brand in the past, and so I don't think I'm going to be disappointed in this. The only thing that I may struggle with is the, if the color is off. So let's dig in. Oh, Jesus. Oh! I don't know if you guys can see the shine. How is this linen? Oh. Oh, can you see the way she catches the light? Oh, I'm so happy. Oh, thank God. So the metallic finish is kind of almost a gold color. I'm not angry about it. And I ordered 7 yards. So that should be enough to get the top and the skirt out of. I'm thinking I'm going to make it as 2 pieces. So for my skirt options, there are plenty of options out there. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use my favorite tried and true Simplicity pattern, Simplicity 1200, and I'm going to leave the side seams open, not put the zipper in it, and I'm basically going to treat it how I make all of my other Ren Fair skirts. The only difference is it's going to be a circle skirt instead of gathered. The reason I don't want to do anything gathered is because of the fact that this dress has 3 skirts. It's going to be extremely bulky, and if they're all gathered, I'll end up with a waistline like I had for my Mary cosplay, which for Mary, as a goddess-sized gal, it worked. Red is a buccaneer. She's not a lady of leisure. And so I don't want to add extra to my waistline by having extra fabric between my waist and my hips, which is why I'm going with a circle skirt. For the bodice of this dress, because I think I want to do it as separate, I'm going to try using McCall's 7901, and I'm gonna go with View D. However, I'm going to steal sleeve ruffles and neckline ruffle from this American Duchess Simplicity 8162, and I will come back to this American Duchess one for my states. Look guys, I cleaned off my desk, my standing desk. Be proud of me. So I have to make some modifications to the waistband. This waistband is one piece, and because the original pattern has this side seam zipper, the notches for lining it up to the skirt are here in the middle in a weird place. That. And then the notches are here. I'm doing my side seams open, and so I have to modify this pattern to accommodate that. So anyway, what I'm actually going to do is fold it in half so that the center front line and the center back line line up, and then I have to give the left side a seam allowance. And then we fold it in half, lining center front to center back. This dot is supposed to be that left hip seam, so it needs extra wiggle room. This side of the skirt waistband already has its seam allowance. So, but for this particular project, I'm going to extend it for an inch or two so that I can actually have a little bit of overlap in there. So apparently the neck ruffle and the sleeve ruffle for both of these are just a couple of rectangles. I'm just going to take measurements of them, and that's what I'm going to go off of. Very official document. So the pattern has all four of these neck ruffle pieces just sewn together as a circle, gathered, and then hemmed. Personally, I do not love the notion of just hemming them. Personally, I don't love the idea of just hemming these ruffles. I think I want to actually make them double the width, and then that way there's no actual hem. I have so much plain white cotton lawn that I don't think that that's problematic. And then that way, if it does move and shift on me, I'm not gonna expose those raw hems. I very much so don't like the way that looks. I just had the realization that this is 100% linen. I need to launder this before I cut into it. All right, let me figure out what I can work on in the meantime. Okay, so while my linen is in the dryer, I'm gonna start on my petticoat layer. I picked up from Hobby Lobby 4 yards of a white cotton lawn. It is a Swiss dot cotton lawn, so it's got these cute little nubbies on it. I'm not offended by them. I'm the only one that's going to see most of this. But then I do also have a few yards of just plain white. I think I paid $3 a yard for my plain white cotton. And my cotton lawn, I genuinely do not remember how much I paid for it because it was that long ago. But knowing me and how I spend money on fabric, I typically don't spend more than $5 a yard on anything. Like habitually, I set caps on things. And if I do spend more than that, I am super, super conscientious to write down exactly what I paid for it so that I don't ruin something expensive. I want to say this was probably like $8 or $9 a yard that I got at 40% off, knowing how I buy fabric and what my budget restrictions always are. So I'm going to get this all ironed up and cut out my pieces for my petticoat layers. When we look at her white petticoat, we can tell that I can tell that there's definitely like a 4 or 5 inch ring of ruffles around the base of it, and then it has a cute dainty little lace at the bottom of that. So to replicate the lace at the bottom of her petticoats, I picked this ribbon up, this lace ribbon up from the Hobby Lobby. Please don't at me. It's 1.5 wide, and I bought 6 yards of it. But it's so cute and so dainty. And then for her black petticoat, in looking at the pictures of her dress as close-ups as I can get, it does look like it is printed of some sort. There's like a floral motif to it or whatnot. I have had this bad boy sitting in my stash for about a decade. I'd originally purchased it to make my Mrs. Lovett's cosplay. It does have a floral motif to it, and it's not perfectly solid black, which I really liked for a pop with this one. And I feel like it will give me a really nice finish. The thing that I don't like about using this, for one, is that if you look at Red's skirt, her black skirt is lined with red. I don't have enough red in my stash to do that, so I'm going to have to get creative. And I genuinely don't want to buy anything else for this. And as I'm sitting here, I'm going to turn you. I see off in my corner. Too far. Back up, back up, back up. Oh, there it is. I have a bolt of red taffeta right there. I might use that. I have to wash and pre-shrink this. For one, it is not pre-washed and pre-shrunk. And for two, it has been sitting in a closet for a decade. And smells like it's been sitting in a closet for a decade. So, yeah. I'm in a holding pattern until fabric is done being washed.
Dad wasn't even in the ground, and Jack was there spraying his scent.
Well, I may have encouraged her to go back.
To the club?
Yes?
You pimped out my mother?
Hot out of the oven. So I realized while I'm sitting on the floor that because I extended the waistband 1.5 inches in order to overlap each other, I am going to have to extend the skirt also 1.5 inches to overlap each other. Which I did not just do. Okay, now I have to do this with black and white. And hopefully I remember not to this one. So after getting the black cut out, I realized that the white, I had to manipulate and pivot and turn a few times in order to get it to fit on the 4 yards. Fortunately, this particular white is not very directional, so it will still work if I put a seam there. So for the ruffle at the base of the skirt, I actually still have quite a bit of fabric left over. I may have to do some piecing, but I can at least get 2 4-inch panels before I have to get to the point where I'm piecing. So that might not be so shabby. Being as it's still only like 2 o'clock, I am going to just finish cutting everything out and then call working in my office done for the day, and then I will go get whatever else I'm missing for this particular project. So I have got everything all cut out. I've got all 3 skirts. Waistbands, that is the ruffle, waistband, 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 everything that I need for the blouse portion of the dress, and then the ruffles for the mock chemise. It's all cut out. Bodice back, bodice front, sleeves, torso of bodice. I accidentally cut the skirt along the cut line. I didn't give myself that 1.5 inches. So I may look for a zipper when I go to the store for more ribbon and just make it how it's supposed to be made. And then I just realized I has company. Hey, are you okay? Hello. So when I left you guys last night, I had everything completely cut out. My plan for today is to at least be able to assemble the 3 petticoats. The reason that I think that that's possible is because it's just the side seams and then attaching the waistband. I'm not adding pockets. Oh, and hemming. So that's my goal. It's a lofty goal, but it's a goal. So I got the lining for the black petticoats out of the red taffeta that I had in the bucket in the corner. It's very much so giving me Gone with the Wind vibes, but I am determined to not have to go spend more money, even though I don't love the idea of putting taffeta into this costume because everything else is launderable. And so by putting taffeta into this, I'm locking myself in a corner with having to have the skirt dry cleaned. And my desire to not spend more money kind of takes precedence over not wanting to have this dry cleaned. I thought about possibly using some of my excess white and then dyeing it red, but I didn't have enough. I only had like 2 yards and I needed 4. And so either way I would have been going out and spending more money, and I didn't love that idea. So we shall proceed with the red lining. On my black petticoats, I have my side seams sewn up with the exception of the top 7 inches on both sides. I'm leaving that open, and then I'm just attaching the waistband to the top edge of each side so that they're 2 completely separate pieces. I've now got both the red taffeta lining and the black cotton layer both assembled. So I have the lining layer just basted to both the waistband and the black layer. And then at the hem, it's all top stitched to stay in place. And then at the opening, just did a quick slip stitch to close them. And then for the waistband, folding this up 1/2 inch, and it'll ambient doggy barking. And then slip stitch it in place over both layers. Alrighty, with the exception of digging out the twill tape to thread through my waistband, I have got this pretty much done. I was worried that the taffeta would add volume because it's stiff, but it didn't add too much, and I'm not angry about it. And then when it's tight, you get that puff of red lining. Alright, lather, rinse, repeat. 2 more to go. So I have got the white portion of the petticoat assembled basically to the same point where I did with the red, or with the black. At this point, instead of hemming the skirt, I'm going to take all of the petticoat ruffles and they get attached to the bottom like so. And then instead of hemming this end, it's attaching the lace. So my next step is gathering. Lots of gathering. Okay, I have the waistband attached. I've got the ruffles and lace attached. So that makes 2 petticoats done. While I have the white thread still on my machine, I'm going to tackle my ruffles for my mock chemise layer. And this is actually going to be quite simple. I'm just going to fold these in half and then run a basting stitch through the whole thing, then stick it aside. Now that I have all of the petticoat stuff assembled, I can start working on the actual dress, which I'm still doing as, at this point in juncture, I'm still doing as a shirt and a skirt. I've got all of this still laid out. It's pretty straightforward. The bodice pieces are attached the front to the back, and then the bottom half of the blouse, I haven't decided if I'm going to do the shearing or not. I don't know that it's really necessary. I think it might just be extra time. I don't know. I will think about it. I also have not decided what I am going to do with the skirt because I was not able to find a pink zipper in the right shade of like a dusty rose. And since I accidentally cut it, I don't know what I'm going to do. But this is where I'm at. I'm hoping that this is not too time consuming because it's a lot. Maybe I'll just do the skirt tonight and leave the blouse for tomorrow. Of the three of these skirts, this one was genuinely the easiest because I forgot to leave the extra seam allowance to be able to overlap them. I sewed this side up completely and then just left this side open as if I was going to put a zipper in, but I didn't put the zipper in. And then what I'm thinking I'm gonna do, because I do have enough room in this to have a little bit of an overlap, what I'm thinking is maybe a button right here, because I'm not gonna be able to do a drawstring. But that'll still allow me to access my internal pocket. Here is where this puppy is at. I am super happy with how things are going. It will definitely look way cooler once I have all of my skirt hikes in place. I am so excited. Now, I could have done all three of these skirts as one piece, but I decided not to because her second skirt hike is actually underneath her dress for just her petticoats, and I couldn't wrap my head around cleaning. So aside from the fact that I wanted to be able to have multiple uses for this, by doing them as separates, it also gave me the opportunity to figure out that second skirt hike and go from there. That literally leaves me with just this pile, which is just the blouse to the pink portion of this dress. Yeah, this is kind of looking like a maternity dress at the moment. So I've got my 3 skirts from last night. This morning I just kind of started sewing without actually thinking, without actually turning on the camera. I just started sewing. And then I was like, hey, wait a minute. I'm actually supposed to be doing a thing here. But all I have so far is shoulder seams and the front seam that goes under the bust line. I will attach the sleeves and then I will decide if I'm going to do all of the gathering. Because right now it's kind of looking kind of frumpy. But we've got these puppies. I'm gonna go in here. All gathery. Like so. Like that. And then basically the exact same thing on the sleeves, but with pink on the outside. So I'm sitting here gathering the cotton that I have cut out for the ruffles along the neckline, and I'm realizing that it is super thick and bulky and definitely not what I had in mind. So I pulled pictures of Red up again, and I'm realizing that the gathered ribbon at the top of her neckline and sleeve are more of an organza than the cotton. So here in my wall, I have this bridal organza. I am thinking I can get away with using this. I think the gaps between these flower appliques is wide enough that I can get the ruffles out of this and not have to actually go to the store. And being as I use a lot of the bottom of this, I know I have a couple of rows. Like I have a few rows of just the top half of that. Aha! I have reached the end. What do I have? Yeah, the bulk right here is way better than with the cotton. Okay, so I have my ruffles and my facing in place. I've got a lot of rando strings, which I have to go in and clean out. But so basically, before I tack anything down, I'm gonna go in and thin this out by trimming all this excess, a lot of that excess out of the way so that it's not extra bulk. Then I'm gonna go in and understitch the seam to the facing, and then I'm gonna go ahead and pin everything to the inside, like so. Okay, and then for both sleeve cuffs, I have the lace layer and the linen layer pinned together, and then I will gather them as one piece and attach them to the base of the sleeve as one. Alright, I still have to sew this in place, the facing. I'm gonna hand stitch that down. I've got my sleeves attached. I still have to add the ruffles and elastic to that. And I did a quick roll hem to the bottom edge of the blouse. But she's in the home stretch. Okay, so I have my ruffles attached to the end of the sleeves. I did have to gather it a little bit, but I'm not too worried about that, being as I still have to gather the entire thing completely. And what I'm thinking, to make a casing, I'm taking the already cut bias of that piece of the skirt that I accidentally cut. But I'm reusing those already pre-cut biases to make a casing. Oops, wrong hole. So she slipped. And so I'm going to just make a bias tape with that to go over these raw seams. That will protect this raw edge of this organza, because I don't want it fraying all over the place. All right, to make the bows that go at the edge of the ruffle, I'm taking the scraps of bias cut, and I'm going to actually, I've only done this the one time, so not an expert, but it is my new favorite. I'm going to sew a piece of ribbon inside and then use that to pull it right side out. I'm gonna show you how this works. So ribbon's inside, and then just pull on the end until it pulls inside of the tube. And then ta-da! And then tying it into a bow. And zhuzh it until they're about the same size. Okay, my beautiful friends, Editor Robin jumping back in to refilm my outro because I realized that everything that I did for the second half of today had no audio, even though my microphone was plugged in. So let's do it again. Basically everything that I said was that I was super happy with how it came out. I was really glad that I opted to go with the metallic linen instead of the Duponi or Shangtung for weight and budget. Like budget was like a huge factor in that for me. But ultimately I really loved the fact that it genuinely does have a metallic sheen to it, which The downside of it though, and this is me being genuinely honest, I have extremely sensitive skin. And as a result of it, the little gold metallic threads are actually kind of pokey, I guess. And I found that those little threads were chafing me as I wear it. And so one of the things that I may end up doing in some downtime is going back over the internal seams and slip stitching some twill tape or something soft over any of the exposed seams. I mean, that would be historically accurate. The other thing is I have yet to decide if I want to in fact go in and do the elastic in the torso of the blouse. I did have to reach up my skirt and shove my... I did have to reach up my skirt and pull the blouse down a few times. I think once my stays are on, that will be a little bit less of an issue, but I don't know. I'm still on the fence about it. But for now, it's perfect exactly the way it is. And then I will be back in a future week to tackle the rest of this bucket, which consists of all of her accessories and the stays. All right, my beautiful, lovely friends, I hope you have a fantastic week, and I will see you next time for some more fun and shenanigans. I don't care. Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome back. I don't care that it's only up. It kind of... Ooh, I just ripped it. Crap.